Hey, it's Friday, we're back. Let's do some form checks. Hey guys, welcome back to another Form Check Friday. I'm Paul, thrilled to be back in Idaho with my gear, good internet. Clint is sleeping on the ground. He's been swimming a lot. It's like getting up to 100 degrees now, but I was in California for about a month and had some technical difficulties with recording, slow internet connections, software not working, but we're here. So thank you for bearing with me, and I'm thrilled to be back to do another round of form checks. So let us get into it and see what we've got here. It's been a minute, so I'm probably going to be a little rusty. Okay, so we're going to start at the bottom, because I know that now that we're on the circle platform, the order's reversed. So we'll start with Luke and see what Luke has to say. And then I think we'll get to everybody today. So very much looking forward to it. Here's my squat after working on getting the knees set faster. Am I hitting depth well enough or need to be a bit lower? 300 by 5. And here's the day's paused bounce squat if you need to check that. All right, thank you. Let's hope this works. I think you can embed videos in here, so let's see. Okay. Hopefully this is an age-appropriate video. All right, we got Luke in the tank. You guys know I haven't seen any of these yet. We're doing this together. Same drill. All right, so oh, good. So we'll watch a few reps, get a feel for what Luke's up to. Upper back looks good. Okay. Let's see here. All right, man, you're doing the chest flaring thing. See there? As you go down, you're trying to tighten up your upper back instead of having it tight and locked. I know you've heard me talk about this a million times, but you want to have all the extension done before you start leaning over, right? Like a deadlift, you want to set your back, but see how your elbows are coming down and the wrinkles in your t-shirt. See, it's right there. You get this, you're puffing your chest up on the way down, right? Instead of locking it like a deadlift, set your back, and then pick the weight up off the ground. You don't want to have any unnecessary movement or need to tighten things while the bar's moving. You want to take care of all that beforehand. Now, overall, this is a very decent looking squat, but we're nitpicking here. So before you go down, right, I want your back, I'll see if I can pause it. I want your back, if that is the position that feels secure for you, right, with the chest up, extension, you can see the curve in your thoracic spine. If that's what you want, do that first. Take a big breath, arch up, get tight, and then you just lean over, right? So you don't have to tighten it while you're moving, while you're leaning over, while you're thinking about a bunch of other things, okay? So, and in terms of depth, I think you're pretty damn close. But I want a little bit more sitting back at the bottom. I should see you kind of dip back with your hips, and it's just like that is definitely legal. But I want to see a little, you know. So you're here, you lean over, you're taking it down. Let's see if I can do this. You're taking it down, and then right at the bottom, there's just a little of that where you finish that dip and spring back out of it. You're just kind of coming down, stopping, and then coming back up. I mean, you're definitely driving your hips, but you're going to get more of a pop if you kind of like that was better. That was better. Yeah, depth is not the problem here. It's more of a committing to the final bit of that bounce. Just dropping your butt and really trying to feel that stretch inside your groin to lead you back out, or to at least start the drive back up. See, you can tell that you didn't sit back enough on that one, because as you start driving up, you go forward a little bit. See that? Your weight shifted to your toes just a tiny bit. And that's because that's gonna happen, but if you finish sitting back, it's like rocking to your heels in the deadlift, right? You, like, the tendency is for the bar to swing off your legs and pull you forward, right? And so if you rock back a little bit, shift your weight back to your heels, it overcorrects for that, and then you end up pulling it straight up the legs. So the last little 2 inches of the squat should be a little bit of a, almost like, back on the heels just a tiny bit. Like, finish the stretch. So the first half, as I always say, is, knees forward and out, and then hips back and down. So you got the down part, but we need back and down. And it's really just a matter of weight distribution. Like, if you just think a little bit more heel at the bottom, you'll automatically, and then the depth will be convincing. I mean, that was a great rep. The other thing that might be throwing you off is this tightening of the thoracic spine while you're squatting. If you got to think about that instead of, I need to pay attention to where the weight is on my foot and finish sitting back into the bottom. So I didn't even look at your knees yet. Oh yeah. Let me go back to the beginning. Just make sure that was the whole point of this. Yeah, that's the one where you go forward because you didn't sit back. But the knees... Okay, so what's happening is your focus is... This has just happened with one of my other online clients. We were focusing on the knees so much that we stopped focusing on setting the back angle. Those two things have to be done at the same time. You want the back angle set and the knees set, meaning the knees are as far forward and out as they're ever going to be, and the back angle, you're as leaned over as you're ever going to be by the halfway point. And when you have someone focus on setting the knees, they forget to lean over quickly. So you got the knee thing, they're getting out there. Now you got to go back and set that back angle a little bit sooner. Again, that was a better rep. These are obviously getting better as you go through the set. Yeah, so, okay. Overall, very good. Set your upper back before you lean over. Lean over a little bit faster, so lean and knees at the same time right away, set by the halfway point, and spend the second half of the descent reaching back, and you want a little bit of kind of shifting a little bit more weight back to the heels at the very bottom, and then drive up. And you fix all those things, I think you'll be good to go. Your back angle is changing quite a bit on the way up. It's getting really horizontal. I mean, it's not that bad. I'm not worried about it. Don't worry about that one. Fix those three things, especially the upper back and reaching back, just shifting a little bit more weight onto the heels at the bottom. And let's see what that looks like. That whole getting too horizontal on the way up may just correct itself once you're tight and stable and can focus on the things that you need to focus on, right? All right. So hopefully we knock some rust off of me with that one. But thank you, man. Looks good. Let's get more weight on there and see what happens. Yeah, maybe we could take a look at this real quick. Just see if you do the sitting back thing that I'm talking about. Usually you do in a pause squat. Now you're forward there. No. You're bouncing off your quads with this. This is what I'm talking about. So this is, I'm glad we looked at this. Yeah, so because you haven't finished the sitting back part, the final thing where you're not, the benefit of the pause squat is to feel where the bounce comes from. You're creating a bounce by just flexing and extend like your quads up and down. What the bounce is supposed to feel like in this drill is from the groin. So it's almost like you're not even using your muscles to bounce. You're just bouncing off the stretched out tendons in the groin. So let's see. I don't know if you can see me do it in the pause squat video. We'll take a look. Oh, all right. We don't need volume here. But why is this quality so bad? Oh, 720. Let's go to there we go. All right. Oh, that's not the bounce pause squat. All right, let's try this one. Sorry, guys. Okay. So leaning over, sitting back. Yeah, I mean, it's not that obvious. It'll be obvious when you feel it, okay? So it'll be obvious when it should feel like, again, like it's pulling inside your groin. Yeah, so you want to go down there first of all and pause. So when you do this drill, go down and pause and then make sure that your balance is right, because I want the weight on your foot. If you start bouncing right away, you're not going to be able to make sure that your weight is where you want it across the surface of your foot. So go down and pause for a couple seconds, and in your case, you're going to have to shift back a little bit. You pause, a little bit more weight on the heels. Okay, now I feel a pull in my groin. Let me see if I can bounce off my groin, not create a bounce in the quads. Okay, and that's probably the reason that it's not carrying over. It's all about that bottom position. It's all about the whole point of pause squats is to, right? You're forward here. The pressure's in your knees, and you just need to like come back this way a little bit with your weight, right? So your weight's here. It just needs to shift back this way, the knee back that way, just a little bit. And again, if you pretend like you've got like a little box back here or something that you're reaching for and you're going to sit back on it, you got everything forward here. And it's subtle, like it's hard to tell, but you'll feel it, and you'll feel the stretch in a different place. So try that. Feel free to post 2 more videos next time and we'll take a look at those. All right, we're going to move on. I know we got a couple other guys today, but thank you for the post. Let's see here. David Denham. All right, here's my squat, 280 by 3. In the past, I was losing tension in my chest, maybe extension. Raising my head and elbows were moving a lot. I think I've got those issues squared away, but I'm having issues keeping my knees out. Not sure if it's a strength issue or stance or what's going on. It's usually a keep your knees out issue. All right, let's take a look. David, see what we see here. Okay, let's get the volume down. And bar looks very nice shelf in the upper. Oh. Yeah, okay. Ooh, yeah, you got knee cave there. Okay, so couple things here to just get this out of the way. You're doing the thing that Luke was doing in the form check I just did, which is setting your upper back on the way down instead of setting it before, okay? You're also dropping way too quickly. So think about descending in the squat, right? When you shove your knees out, reach back with your hips, you're stretching out muscle mass, right? In your legs and your groin. And the more stretched out, if we're pulling on a rubber band, the further I pull that rubber band apart, the more tension there is, the harder it gets to pull it further, right? So if you can just fall into the bottom quickly, it means you're not stretching. It should get almost slower on the way down, okay? You can have a consistent cadence, But a lot of times as you get closer and closer to the bottom and that rubber band stretches out more, the rep should slow down. If you're just bombing into the bottom, you're not creating that stretch, which is the whole point of this, which is where you're going to get the stretch reflex. And we know that you're not stretching what needs to be stretched because your knees are caving in, okay? And that's where the stretch comes from. So you have to keep your knees out, and then you have to obviously slow it down. But just by insisting that your knees stay out, the rep will slow down, because instead of, like, in order to drop that quickly, you have to be loose. And the whole point here is not to be loose. We need to keep those muscles engaged, stretch out the adductors, stuff like that. So just by, it's all related is what I mean. Like, if you learn to keep your knees out, which we'll talk about, it'll fix this dropping too quickly problem automatically. But just going back to your upper back extension. So here you can see your back's kind of like soft. You got a good shelf, but there's no upper back thoracic extension yet. And you're gonna try and set it in here, right? So you see you're trying to tighten up on the way down, right? So now we see this curve in your back, right? I want to see that before you start the rep, okay? And I'm going to repeat myself just in case you only want to watch your form check and not Luke's. But think about pulling a deadlift. You set your back in extension when the bar's on the ground, and then you pick it up. You don't pick the weight up off the floor and then try and set your back, because it's really hard to do that. So the idea is with every lift, you get all the things tight that you can get tight and locked, and then you just move the joints that need to move, right? The hips, you unlock the hips and the knees and you start descending. But this segment from here to here, right, is just locked and rigid because you set it when it was easy to set it when you're standing up, or even better, before you take it out of the rack. So when you're doing your setup to, here, well, where do you do it? Yeah, when you're here, look at your back right here. That's good extension. And that's what you want, and that's what you're trying to get. The problem is you're trying to get that while you're leaning over. So you got this angle here that's making the bar want to roll up on your neck. It's even harder. But if you come under it with all the weight in the hooks and get tight and set your back like this, but see, you let it go. You're kind of rushing here. So like the difference between that and that, like that's what I want, that's what you want, what that upper back tightness looks like, okay? But as soon as you walk it out, you're gonna see your back just round. So perfect, and then now you're round, right? So you let it go. So the easiest way to fix this is be more intentional unracking the bar, because you don't even have weight on your back. You can get in any position that you want, and then you just have to hold it, versus even here where you're standing with the weight, where you're holding the weight, trying to set your back is harder than trying to do it when it's in the hooks, okay? So my advice is, get under the bar, get it where you want it, get your chest up, elbows up, tight, right? You're under there, chest up, backwards here. Chest up, elbows up, now I'm tight. And then you just stand up and you hold that and you take 2 steps back and you just never let that extension go. And it's so much easier to hold that position isometrically once you've set it versus trying to set it with the weight on your back. And even worse is with the weight on your back at an angle, right? So that's number one. Get that extension set and hold it. So you don't, now if you lose it between reps, right? So you go down, now you're gonna come back up and you're gonna go soft. See how, like, this curve right here, we want that to go the other way, right? We want it to go that way. But if you do happen to lose it during a set, now you have to do it at the top, right? Every rep, it's not just take a breath like that, it's take a breath and chest up, elbows up, retighten, get that extension back, okay? And I think I haven't seen my man, I haven't done one of these in so long that I Haven't played my squat video that I play every episode. So let's revisit it. Where's Josh? Here we go. Love me some Josh. Okay. So look how he gets under it. See his back tight, and then he just stands up with it. I'll go back to that. Right? But watch his upper back here. See that? That's what he wants right there. That's the extension. You can see the curve, the wrinkles, the shoulder blades kind of pulled together. And then all he's going to do once he has it is stand up. Right? And he never let it round. He still has that same upper back position. And then he just leans over. He just took a breath there, but he's holding it. Back up. Upper back is it looks exactly the way it looks when he was under the bar unracking it. So that's what I want. And this is really important because then you have more stability, tightness. The bar's not going to roll up on your neck and you're not going to lift your head. All that stuff's going to go away when you just have the security of like, okay, from here to here, everything's taken care of. I don't have to worry about that. I can think about other stuff now. Okay, so that's point number one. Let's keep going. And now we got to talk about your knees. So you're getting way deeper than you need to go, right? Like that is way too deep, right? That squat is and the reason that you can go that deep is because on the way down, you didn't hold your knees out. You just let them cave in. So if you insist, and again, we're going to talk about how to do this, which is not going to be very satisfying for you, but if you insist on the knees staying out, depth will come up because your groin muscles will hit the limit of their ability to stretch. The rubber bands will be fully maxed at a higher position with the hips. But if as you go down, you slack that tension, you can drop down, and that's the only way you do an ass to grass squat. It's either let the knees cave in or let the lumbar spine go into flexion, and you're not doing that. So it's the knee cave problem, right? And then once they're in and you've lost the tension, it just gets worse from there, right? You can't, it's really hard. You got to do it and hold it. So slow things down here. You're amped up. I know, like you got some weight on your back and you're fired up, but there's a speed it's too fast on the way down, and you're, like I always say, we need controlled aggression. Okay. So if you get frantic and like, I got to get this set, you're not going to be paying attention to the form you're going to be stuck at 280, or you're going to hit a wall with this form. So we have to be more methodical, more intentional, more focused on the form, calmer, right? Calmer between reps. Then you turn it on when it's time to drive up, when you lower the bar to your chest for a bench press, and now it's time to go. That's when you turn it on. But the descent of the bench press, taking it down is methodical. It's controlled. You're calm, but you're not loose, but you're feeling the movement, and then you hit it, and boom, then you explode, and then you get to the top and you reset. You calm down, you fix the things that you need to fix, or tighten the things that you need to tighten. Okay, I'm ready. Let's take this down like a machine, controlled, no emotion, and then we turn it on again. So you have these waves of intensity and sort of relaxation, with the caveat that relaxation, you still have to maintain tension in your body. So, okay. Stance, I suspect, is a little narrow. And that's another thing that will bring up the depth in the squat, is just widening your stance a little bit. Maybe the camera on stance is always deceptive, so it's hard to say, but I might try widening your stance a little bit. It also looks to me like, and this is just a hunch, that you have flat feet. I don't know if that's true, but there's something about that right foot that makes me think that you have flat feet. If you do have flat feet, that is a very common, I should rephrase this. People who have flat feet have a tendency to have issues with knee cave and keeping their knees out. It's very difficult for them to do that. So if that's the case, you can message me. There are some inserts that you can get for your shoes. I think they're called Super Feet. And they come in different colors and they have different arch support, but the green ones are the ones, and you slip them in your lifting shoes, and it helps to correct flat feet. So again, I don't want to spend too much time on this because if you're like, I don't have flat feet, then we're wasting our time. But if you do, green super feet. And the final piece of this is just fixing. So we're going to widen the stance a little bit. The angle looks pretty good. This is the unsatisfying part, which is this is a brain issue. So and it's a weight issue. So you have been adding weight and allowing your knees to cave in, which means the muscles that are responsible, the external rotators for keeping the knees out, have not gotten stronger as the rest of you has because you haven't been requiring them to do their job. So you need to back off if you want to fix this, which I would recommend, you need to back off the weight and you need to figure out what it feels like to be at the bottom with the knees out. You need to get that sensation in your head, and then you need to build back up, insisting that you do not let those knees cave in. And over time, right? So you're going to look at the floor, and as you drive up, if you see the knees move in a little, you're looking right, like 6 inches in front of your toe. Okay? Like I want you looking like here. And the reason is, if you stare at that, you can see your knees out of your peripheral vision, and you'll see them do this. And if you see them come in on a warm-up, on an empty bar, on any rep, you make them go back out with your brain. You just insist, like, oh, they came in, I'm pushing them back out. And over time, you will train your brain, what you want it, you will train your brain to do what you want it to do with the knees, or to make the knees do what they're supposed to do, and then you won't have to think about it anymore. But you have to be insistent on no wiggle room here. They are out, okay? And if you can't, repeat the weight and fix it or go back down. So you're gonna have to figure out what weight you can do with perfectly shoved out knees, okay? And you're gonna do pause squats because you need to feel the bottom, right? So if you go to hornstrength.com/videos and you go down to legs and pause squats, okay, you will see this video of me, and in the description is all the instructions, okay? And you're gonna go down, you're gonna pause for 3 seconds, and then you're gonna come back up. And in those 3 seconds, you're gonna ask yourself, let me see if I remember this. Oh, I have read that. Okay. Is my weight balanced over the middle of my foot, or am I on my toes or my heels? Are my knees shoved out hard, or did they cave in? Could I shove them out even more? Right? If you got 3 seconds to make sure that they're out. And if they're not, and then the last one is my upper back arched and tight, or did I let it round? That's another thing you're going to pay attention to here since you have that problem. So is the weight over the middle of my foot? If not, if I'm on my toes, I'm going to rock back a little bit in those 3 seconds. If my knees have caved in, I'm going to push them back out. And if my back and if I can arch my back, that means I let it go. So I'm going to retighten my back, and you're going to feel it. You're going to feel, oh, okay, that's actually, I lost some extension on the way down. This is what it's supposed to feel like. Got it. And then you come back up. Okay. So you have 3 seconds to make these changes, to feel the sensation and then register it. And then you come back up. And then on the next rep, your goal ultimately is to be able to go down to the bottom, pause for 3 seconds, and change nothing, fix nothing, because your knees are jacked out, your weight is perfect, and your upper back is tight, okay? And you're gonna do this with empty bar, maybe 95 pounds, sets of 5, and you will start to feel, the goal of this drill is to feel what it feels like to be at the bottom, balanced, tight, right? With everything where it's supposed to be. Okay. And so I still do these to this day for every warm up, the first 1 or 2 sets of squats. I always pause them just to remind myself, this is balance. This is what balance feels like. This is what knees jacked out feels like. Okay. So if you're paused at the bottom and I can walk up to you and pull your knees out, you let them cave in at some point. So practice that so you understand the bottom position. Widen the stance a tiny bit, and then from there, once you get it, once you feel it, okay, this is where I'm tight. And your bottom should come up. Like your bottom position, see if I can pause this perfectly. Like that's even a little too low right there. But that's about where you want to finish. Okay, so you can film yourself doing pause squats. Make sure if you're having a hard time getting there, you might move your stance in or out. And then you got to work back up. Okay, so then you got to start going up, maybe ascending sets of 5, and figure out the heaviest weight you can do while keeping the knees out perfectly at the bottom and the upper back tight. And then, so if you get up to like 225 and then you're like, those are great. You try 245 and the knees start to cave in, go back to 225 and start building up from there in your regular program. And just insist that you do. I mean, this is a battle and it's hard to fix, but I've watched many clients fix this. So you have to train your brain and you have to be more intentional about the movement. Don't worry about the weight right now, because you keep doing this, you're going to hit a ceiling at like, I don't know, 305. And you're not going to be able to make it to 405 with this form. So you have to go back. You have to give those muscles a chance to get stronger, right? Since they haven't been doing their work, they need to catch up. And then when you got all this dialed in, you're going to blow past, because you're like a sturdy looking dude. You just have to fix the form, and you'll blow past your sticking points right now. Okay. So that's your homework. Work on that. When you think you got it, post another video. You can post the pause squats like Luke did, the pause squats and a work set, your heaviest weight that you can do where the knees stay out. Okay. If the knees are caving in, I don't want to see it. Show me a set with the knees out, and then we can critique that. Okay. All right. I got to move on, but thank you for the video, and I hope this helps, and we'll keep going. And I look forward to seeing new and improved squats. And is that a Velcro belt? If that's not a leather belt, get a leather belt. All right. The end. Thank you, David. Okay. Robert, here we go. Hey, Paul, I am an apprentice at Brussels Barbell with Steve. Shout out to Steve. First time posting. I watch all your videos to study how you correct every lifter. Here's 440 for 3 sets of 5. I am 6'2", 250 pounds. All right. Big dude. Big dude with a big squat. This is exciting. All right, Robert. I hope there's nothing to fix here. Whoa. And we got cool video editing. We got all 3 of them at the same time. Dude, can I just look at, oh, there we go. All right. I just want to look at one, because that's neat, but distracting. All right. Yeah, man. Ooh. These are very nice. I mean, a little knee cave there, but what do you got, like 440 on there? All right. Yeah, there's not a whole lot I'm going to say about these. I will nitpick just because it's fun, but like these are awesome. Second set's usually the best set. So let's take a look at that. Good, man. I mean, back angle, hip drive. Yeah, if you notice the difference between, and again, the first set is really like the last warm up. The second set's always the best one, because you're warmed up, you're not, and the third set you're tired. So the first set you're still kind of knocking the rust off. The third set you're tired. The second set is the one that's like, all right, you got it. You can see the difference between the two just in how quickly you're setting your back angle and leaning over on the way down. So I think this is, where's our triple view? Oh, here we go, first set. So if we watch like just how fast you finish leaning over. See that that one kind of took you longer into the descent before you kind of stopped moving your upper body, and you do have the bar rolling up on your neck a little bit, so we can talk about that. God, this is the third video, and every one of you guys has the same issue so far in this episode. You see how your elbows are moving down as you squat? Like, you see your upper, so what's happening is as you lean over, all right, I'm blabbering here. So here's what's happening. All right. Because your upper back isn't, this is literally, I've talked about this this is my third time talking about this in this episode. Okay. Your upper back is kind of rounded, right? You don't have a lot of thoracic extension right now. And this is a weird low angle, so it's hard to see. But you can see it's kind of curved up here and soft. So you're kind of holding the bar like this, right? You built a shelf by kind of shrugging up, but you're more like this than this. Okay? So here's the upper back tightness here. Okay? Chest up, elbows up. Okay? That's the shelf. You're rounded. And so because of that, as soon as you lean over to squat and the back angle becomes more horizontal, that bar is going to roll up on your neck. Okay? And then you're trying to get that back extension basically on the way down instead of setting it, holding it, and then just leaning over. Okay? So what happens here is it starts to roll, and then you start to try and save it by setting that upper back in extension while you're moving and while it's already rolled up. So you're still holding this together beautifully. Like this is not, the rest of your squat is fine. Although the other thing I'll mention is I can't see, and I'm not going to judge this because of the camera, but I do wonder about your stance width. Like if we had a camera behind your heels, I'm not so sure that your knees are as out as they could be. Like you're hitting depth, but I feel like your knee is kind of this, and if I was standing behind you, I would want it out here more. But I'll defer to Steve on that since I suspect that if I looked at the view directly behind you, your knees would be caving in a little bit. And mainly because they never really got out as much as they could get out on the way down. Just a hunch, okay? I would need a different camera angle to confirm that. All right, let's see what happens here. So, see, this is where you want to get that upper back tight, okay? While the bar's in the hooks and you're not carrying the weight, you want to set your upper back, but you're doing the same thing that the other guys are doing, which is giving that up and then trying to set it on the way down. Although this one's not, so second set, not as bad at all. But that breath you're taking, right? Watch here. So you take the breath, right? And okay, you're trying to retighten, but it's just this. It's like, okay. If you look at my back, it's like you're just kind of, and it's still round. What I want, and I'm going to exaggerate this, is, right? And now I got that locked in, okay? And then I just lean over and hold it. So I'm going to just go back and give the example in case you did not watch the other one of Josh, who does this beautifully, and we'll just do this again. But watch, what if I'm going to slow it down a little bit. Okay. Oh, I don't think I can. Oh, I can. Okay, so Josh gets under the rack, right? Notice his upper back is bunched up. Okay, I'm looking here. See all those wrinkles, right? He's got that upper back in extension, and all the weight is still in the rack. Okay, and then he tightens up. Still, upper back looks exactly the same. And then he's going to set his stance. Upper back still tight. Hasn't let it round at all. Hasn't let it go soft. And then he's going to take a deep breath and kind of shrug. But the upper back tightness didn't change. It just went up and down because of his air. And then he's just going to lean over. Upper back looks exactly the same. And he's back at the top. At no point in this set does he ever give that up, right? He sets it before he unracks the bar. And he just holds it the entire time. That's what you're missing. And when you do that, that bar is not going to roll up your neck, okay? Because your upper back is tight and preventing it from doing that, okay? So that's really I would check your stance with Steve. Make sure that, your knees are really jacked out at the bottom and you're keeping them out. But really the only advice I have, because again, these are fantastic, is to make it feel easier for you and more efficient and get to heavier weights, is to set that, see how the elbows move down, right? That's all a symptom of lack of that upper back extension. So make it look the way that Josh made it look, where, do I even have you unracking it here? I think I do. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So look at your upper back there, right? That's what you're going for, right? And then it's pretty good. And then see how it starts to soften? And now it's even more round. And as soon as you lean over, it's going to roll up even higher. Okay. So that's and this is going to, it's a small change, but it will make a huge difference in how easy each rep feels, because you're not leaking any power and you're not getting distracted having to correct these little movements in bar path and stuff because of this lack of stability and tightness. Okay. So like the more things you take off the table, it's like driving with your legs in the bench press. You create so much tension between your feet and your shoulder blades, basically, that nothing can move on the bench. You're just locked in. And then you don't have to worry about that at all. You just think about moving the bar. Okay. Same thing here. Get that upper back tight, locked, and then you can focus on whatever the hell you need to do 3 sets of 5 at 440. All right. Cool. This was fun. And thanks for the post. Say hi to Steve for me. And we'll keep going. Let's see. What do we got? Oh, we got Lev. Okay. My man, Lev. Lev. Okay. Okay, man. Whoa. There's a lot of videos here. So let's see the story. Hey Paul, I was really hopeful to have my squat checked, but I got sick, unfortunately. So instead of my usual 5s, I could only do a single. I know you don't like seeing singles, but this is all I've got for now. Previously, my form check did not err. My knees were sliding and I was not hitting depth, and thus no hip drive. Now I'm beginning to believe that as long as you hit proper depth, the hip drive is almost automatic. Not really, but let's take a look and see. Oh, let me see if I can get this on bigger. There we go. Okay, so we'll take a look here. Oh, good. Yeah. Hip drive looks good. Oh yeah, you're just giving me 1 rep. I think. You gonna rack that? Yeah. Yeah. No. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. This is a difficult angle to coach from. If you can get it, you might be in a tight space. If you can get it a little bit further back and hip height, it's much more useful as a coach. Like this is, but we'll do our best here. So, oh yeah, knees. Okay. I'm gonna watch this a few times since we only have the one. This is good, man. Very good. So we'll focus on the knees for this rep. Let's just see. You're getting them set, and then, yeah, much less knee slide. So, yeah. So, I mean, this looks great. The only thing I would say to work on next time, I mean, you've got the knee thing down. And like I said at the beginning of this episode, when people focus on the knees first, or setting the knees, they tend to delay setting the back angle, right? It's just your brain can only focus on so much. So the knees get out, but they take too long to lean over. And ultimately what we want, now that you get the concept of the knees, is we want the back angle set, meaning you're as leaned over as you're ever going to be by the halfway point. And we want the knees set forward and out, as far forward as they're and out as they're ever going to be by the halfway point. So by the time you're, see if I can pause this. Okay, at least here. This might be a little lower than I want, but your camera angle is okay. So by the time you're here, you want the knees set over the toes, and you want to be as leaned over as you're ever going to be. And I think you're pretty much, you do finish leaning over a little bit. So all I'd say is, and I'm really nitpicking here, is just commit to getting a little bit more horizontal, a little bit higher up into the descent, a little bit earlier in the descent, okay? Just lean over, shove your knees out right away, and so that you can spend the second half of the descent, right? So now we're about here, you got your back angle set, you got your knee where it needs to be, and now we're gonna spend the second half of the descent focused on hips back and down. So the first half is knees forward and out and lean over. That's the first part of the descent. Knees forward and out, lean over all the way. The second half of the descent, which is what you're about to start, is hips back and down. Knees forward and out, hips back and down. And this is what's missing from this. And like we talked about with the deadlift and the weight on your heels, it's a very subtle shift in pressure on the foot that makes a big difference. So as you go into the descent, you're just gonna reach back a little bit more with the hips. So you can think about shifting a little bit of pressure on your foot to the heels just to finish. You're here, and just at the end, you just wanna dip down a little bit with the hips. So the weight is gonna shift back a tiny bit, and you're gonna feel a nice stretch in your groin, and that's where the stretch reflex is. That's where the bounce is that's gonna help you back up. So if we get here, right, this is little, so you can see that was, if you watch your knee right there, and I'll see if I can show this to you again. If you watch your knee at the very bottom, you're still gonna see it kind of slide forward a little bit. There, see that? As you started coming up, right as you were about to push back up, the knee, the weight, that little boop, okay? And I want the opposite of that. So let's see when you get down there, here, okay? I want you sitting back. I want you to think about that, okay? Your weight is gonna come back this way a little bit, right? So you're just gonna get a little bit more weight back here and just drop it down, okay? Instead of what you did, which is bounce a little bit off your knee. I want you to bounce off your groin, which is this way, okay? Not this way. So this is the sit back part. Just reach back, boop, boop. Just like, dude, and then pop up. Bounce. It's like the final dip into that stretch reflex. It's like you're smashing your butt into a trampoline. It depresses and then you fire up, okay? So the thing that'll help you feel this is our pause squats. So bounce pause squats. So if you go to hornstrength.com/videos, okay, and you click on bounce pause squats, you may have already seen these, but all the instructions are here, okay? The difference between these and pause squats is you're gonna add a bounce. So you're gonna go to the bottom, you're gonna sit for 3 seconds and feel where the bottom is, okay? And in your case, you're gonna go down like a normal pause squat. When you pause at the bottom, you ask yourself, is my weight where it needs to be, or am I a little bit on my toes or a little bit on my heels, okay? In your case, you'll probably feel a little bit on your toes, and so you wanna just shift back a little bit. Okay, that's balance. Feel that, and then come back up. And then when you go down on the next rep, your goal is to go right to balance without having to make any adjustments. The bounce pause squat, after you establish, okay, I was on my toes, now this is balance back here, then you're gonna bounce your butt up and down a few times into that tension, into the groin stretch. And you're gonna feel where that rebound comes from, okay? So you bounce it up and down a few times, and then you catch it and pop it up on the last one. So you lean over and sit back, okay, that's it. And then, and I'm trying to feel the sensation of bouncing off those stretched out groin muscles, okay? You might not be feeling it that much because you're a little tiny bit like subtly forward. And I want you to just sit back a little bit, okay? And so you're gonna do that with empty bar, lightweight, maybe 95 pounds, practice it. As a warm up, you can do it on light squat day, whatever you're doing, figure out and just practice it. And I practice it before every set of squats. Okay. And it just, again, like I said earlier in this episode, it helps you understand the sensation of what it feels like to be at the bottom with your weight balanced, with your knees out, with your back tight. You're doing all the other things perfectly. This is just a matter of getting a little bit more weight on the heels and feeling that stretch. Instead of trying to drive up through the toes or have your weight shift forward, it should be back. Okay? So that's your homework. Work on those pause squats. Let me see. Got a few more minutes here, so let me see if I can do at least a little bit more of this. So, okay. Hey, Paul. Just want to make these videos are kind of out of order. Yeah, just in case the last warm-up looked like this. Am I sitting back too far? No, it looks like my knees are moving back. Let's see. Last warm-up set check. Oh, what's happening? Okay, we'll take a look here and see if you... Oh, yeah, okay, so you're getting it here, I think. Reach... Yeah, you're still driving up and forward. Your weight's still shifting to the balls of your feet a little bit. So again, this is, as you drive the hips, when you hip drive, you want to go straight up. But if a lot of guys, when you push, you tend to go forward a little bit. Sitting back overcorrects for that. So you lean over and you rock back just a tiny bit. You just sit back into the heels, a little bit more pressure. And then as you pop up, you're going to end up right over the middle instead of forward. Okay. So as I tell people, sit back and stay back, right? Sit back, stay. That was a good rep. These look great. Oh yeah. See, and then you went forward on that one. Okay. So as I've said before, I think it's in the book, maybe not. The ultimate hack for all of these exercises, except the bench press, right? Is to pay attention to where the weight is on your foot. Where is the pressure on your foot? Okay? Because if you walk this bar out and you balance it standing there right over the middle of your foot, and then you move in a way where all the way down, all the way up, that pressure gradient, okay, heels and toes, it doesn't change. It's even the whole time. You're doing the lift right. Okay? Like you have to be doing the lift right for that to happen. If you do feel your weight shift to your heels or shift to your toes or something like that at some point during the movement, it's wrong, right? You mess something up. So if you notice, hey, sometimes when I drive up, the weight shifts to I get on my toes a little bit. Okay, so what's the solution? Well, let me try and not get on my toes. Let me try and stay back a little bit. Maybe I'll try and think about staying back on my heels a little bit to overcorrect. And then just you fix that, you fix whatever's causing the pressure to change on your foot, and you fix the rep, you fix the movement. Okay. So start with, anytime you have a technique problem, is my weight balanced across the surface of my foot? If not, fix that. And most of the time fixing that will fix whatever error you had. Now, when I'm coaching and trying to correct you, I may tell you something that sounds wrong. Like I just said, I want it over the middle of your foot the whole time. And now at the bottom, I'm telling you to sit back on your heels. Okay. And the reason I'm doing that is because of this tendency to go forward. So it helps to think about dipping back on the heels a little bit and then you end up overcorrecting for the error of going forward, if that makes sense. Okay. But ultimately paying attention to weight on your foot, right? Is it balanced the entire time? Then I know I'm doing it right. And if it's not, you have a problem. Okay. So those look pretty good. Pause squats will help with that, right? Feeling the bottom. And let's see what else we got here. What is this one? Here's what I used to look like, but it's not relevant as my thinking changed. I don't need to see what you used to look like. I need to see what you look like now. What do we got? Okay, me again, getting greedy, whatever, Lev. I had to punt on you because of technical errors last time. So let's see if we can do this one quickly because I'm running out of steam here. this maybe you can peek. Let's see. The leaning back tip is unbelievable. Okay, complete game changer. All right, well, let's take a look and see what we see. Hopefully it'll just be perfect, and we can call it a day here. Oh, dude. Yeah, okay. Yes. So you're forward, set, rock back, pause, and pull. That's great, man. Yes, you nailed it. You nailed it. You're very coachable. All right. The only thing to watch out for, and you're not doing this is just a warning for the future, is, so it's breathe, squeeze, pause, pull, right? So take a breath, squeeze your chest up, pause, and then pull. And what you're doing in between, right before the pull, is after you set, you squeeze, you're walking your weight back, which is fine, as long as you make sure that you pause. Because the mistake a lot of people make is they rock back and pull at the same time. So as you do that shifting back, they start to pull and the bar's going to swing off your legs that way. Okay. So just make sure that the half second before you actually try and break the plates off the ground, for that beat before that, you are perfectly still, motionless, no momentum, nothing. You are just frozen. And it's just a beat, right? And then you go. Because if you're still rocking back or still setting your back while you're trying to pick the weight up, it's going to swing off your legs, okay? But as long as you keep doing this, these look fantastic, man. Great work. All right. Glad we got it done. Looks like just about an hour, which is we haven't done one in a while, and this is getting me back in the groove. Thank you guys all for, I think I got to everybody, for posting, participating, watching, commenting, you know, just being a part of whatever the hell this is that we're doing. So I'm thrilled to be back, and glad we got this thing done. Fat loss check-in on Monday, and I'm gonna get this video edited, uploaded, and out to you guys. And we will, we should be able to do this next week too. So I'm back up in Idaho for a little bit, and I look forward to it. So thank you all for being a part of it, and I will see you next time. Have a fantastic weekend. You guys are awesome. Bye.